It was that quiet evening hour when the hotel lobby usually grew calmer, so the ring of the reception phone sounded unexpectedly loud. Alina confidently picked up the receiver and answered in her usual cheerful, professional tone. "Corner House Hotel. Good evening. How may we help you?" But just a few seconds later, her face changed. And before we continue, write in the comments the country and city you're listening from. And now, I wish you a pleasant listening experience. English came through the receiver. Fast, polite, with an accent that made her lose her confidence for a brief moment. She froze, tensing her whole body, and slowly muttered, "Mr. Alhamdan? Today? Dinner? Yes, yes. One moment, please." Without listening further, she jumped up and rushed toward the door of the service office. "Pavel Igorovich!" she exclaimed, knocking on the half-open door with a hint of hysteria. "They're calling for you! Urgently, very urgently." Pavel, the 30-year-old owner of the hotel, a bachelor, was sorting through invoices in the office he had inherited along with the hotel from his late uncle, as a memory of a man he had truly been close to. He calmly raised an eyebrow. "Who is it?" "Said, that same Arab investor," Alina said, confused, with notes of rising panic. "He's coming today," he said, "in the evening, which means tonight, and he wants dinner, and he wants you with your wife or partner, basically like a family." Pavel cut her off shortly. "Put him through." A few seconds later, he was speaking English with the important investor. He listened without changing his expression, nodded, thanked him, and hung up. Then he slowly walked into the lobby, approached Alina, and said tensely, "He moved the meeting. From tomorrow morning to tonight, he's coming here for dinner. There must be 3 of us, me, him, and my wife. But I don't have a wife. That's the problem." "Good luck," Alina whispered, turning back to her monitor. "If anything, I'll hide in the basement." "Alina," Pavel began, looking at her pleadingly. But the girl raised her hand without turning around and, barely holding back a tremble, replied, "Don't even try. I already confused meeting with eating twice, and I think I called him Mr. Sandwich. Let them fire me. Just don't seat me next to a billionaire and make me talk at dinner." "All right," Pavel gave in. "Call Marina. Ask her to come help set the table." He walked down the corridor. Alina nodded and began dialing the number of the hotel's cook, who lived nearby. Pavel hadn't fully processed the growing panic when he found himself at the door marked Administrator. He knocked, hoping for a miracle. "Ludmila Sergeyevna," he said, trying to sound calm. From behind the door came a dull voice. "What?" Pavel entered, a little timid for a hotel owner, but it couldn't be helped. Ludmila Sergeyevna was a strict woman, feared by everyone. Even Pavel was a bit afraid of her. "There's something very important," he began. "Out with it, Pavel Igorovich." "What happened?" she asked, dryly. "You remember, yesterday we discussed the meeting with the Arab investor. It's crucial for the future of our hotel business. If we don't secure his support and join his network of exclusive family hotels worldwide, that's it. Game over. There won't be another chance. Said is coming tonight. He expects me to be at the table with a partner." "If you came to ask me to sit with you as your wife, the answer is no." She cut him off immediately, with that icy calm that appeared only in moments of firm resolve. "You are my last hope." "Why not?" he asked, feeling despair rise in his chest. There was a pause. Then she added shortly, "I'm an administrator, not your wife, that's all." He sighed heavily and left. His last hope was accounting, but peeking inside, he saw Valentina Nikolaevna, round, kind, peacefully dozing over a printed report. He didn't wake her. Let at least someone be calm right now. He was already walking back, thinking how to explain refusal to Said without destroying everything, when he saw her. Near the utility room, squatting down, a girl in a gray uniform was carefully wiping a metal door handle. She did it thoroughly, with focus, that special attentiveness of people who know how not to rush when precision matters. Veronica. Pavel had known her for a long time, seen her rather, but only now realized he'd never spoken to her for more than 2 or 3 words. Always calm, quiet, invisible, and always on time. No fuss, no chatter, professional. "Veronica," he called, surprised at how unsure his voice sounded. She slowly lifted her head and looked straight at him, calmly, with interest, but without alarm. "Yes," she replied simply. "This is going to be a very strange request. In an hour and a half, I have dinner with an investor, a very important man. His name is Said.
His decision determines whether this hotel survives or goes bankrupt, and he wants to see me with my wife, a woman beside me, close, supportive. Without her, there's no contract. And what does that have to do with me? She asked, still squatting, narrowing her eyes slightly. Because everyone else refused, and you're the last person I haven't asked. She stood up slowly, brushed off her apron as if thinking, then said quietly, I'm in a uniform and sneakers. My makeup exists only in my passport photo. I might say something inappropriate. Are you sure you want to bet on a woman like that? I am, he replied softly, because you didn't say no right away. Veronica looked at him for a moment longer, then nodded. Then I'll go wash my hands. If you find a dress, consider that you already have a wife. She turned and walked toward the service corridor. Pavel remained standing, watching her leave, and for the first time that day felt not panic, but a strange calm, quiet, uncertain but hopeful. Then he snapped into action and ran to the storage room where forgotten guest items and discarded uniforms were kept. He frantically flipped through plastic hangers, pulling off old-fashioned jackets, floral dresses, and one utterly hopeless rust-colored blazer. Never thought I'd be looking for an evening dress in a utility closet, he muttered, pulling out another piece with a worn collar. Behind him, Veronica appeared. Her damp hair was pulled into a tight ponytail. Her face was slightly flushed from washing with cold water, but her eyes held determination. Anything without stains and the smell of old shampoo? She asked with light irony, glancing at the chaos. Pavel turned and showed her a dark turquoise dress with a thin belt, simple but neat. If anything, I'll cover you with my jacket, he said, trying not to stare, and, without noticing, switching to informal you. And shoes? Veronica asked, taking the dress and checking the tag. In the locker by the entrance, black ones.
Someone left them, but they're decent. While she changed in the utility room, Pavel waited nervously in the corridor, rehearsing possible phrases, greetings, dry jokes, appropriate looks. His inner clock felt broken. Time was racing forward. Veronica came out 15 minutes later. The dress was slightly loose at the shoulders, but emphasized her slim figure. She had brushed her hair and left it loose. The corridor suddenly felt quieter. "How do I look?" she asked, fastening her earrings and smiling slightly. Pavel swallowed. "Better than I expected. I mean, stunning, honestly." Veronica squinted playfully. "Then let's agree on this. I'm a wife with character. I don't smile unless I want to. I don't jump into conversations unless asked. But if I'm offended, I'll speak my mind. Deal?" Pavel smirked. "And I'm the husband who constantly straightens the forks if they're crooked." "Oh, we actually have a chance of impressing the investor," she snorted, grabbing an old forgotten handbag from the shelf and heading toward the stairs. "Just don't introduce me as your other half. Just say, my wife, with character. That's enough." "Let's use you," Pavel suggested. She smiled shyly and nodded. "And why is this Saeed so important?" Mr. Saeed El Hamdan represents a network of elite hotels with Eastern philosophy. They're planning a boutique line in Europe, not standard complexes, but historic buildings with a human face. Each building is like a pearl, and he chooses not only buildings, but the people who manage them, the team. That's why we can't fail. Pavel walked behind her, increasingly surprised at how much energy suddenly appeared in this quiet girl. She wasn't acting. She was simply allowing herself to step into the light. And the longer he watched her back, the clearer it became. He didn't want her to disappear back into the shadows. The restaurant hall was tense and silent. Pavel paced between tables, checking napkins and tablecloths, when heavy footsteps sounded and the service door creaked open. "I'm here already, so what kind of dinner are we making for the sheikh?" It was Marina, a full-figured cook he'd known since youth, once working for his uncle and now for him. She didn't wear tall chef hats, but cooked so well that even picky guests left tips for the kitchen instead of the waitstaff.
Thank you for coming. You're a savior, Pavel exhaled. We have an hour. The meeting got moved. Veronica will be with me, as my wife. Everything's urgent. Everything's serious. Marina laughed, tied her apron, then browned thoughtfully. I have lamb, pumpkin, and figs. If your new wife helps, we'll make it. Of course I'll help, Veronica said, putting on an apron. Just tell me where to start. Chop the onions. No complaining, though today you're allowed. While Marina commanded the kitchen, Pavel slipped into the hall and started setting the table. Veronica appeared with trays, kettles, and damp cloths. She moved quickly, lightly, and with every minute seemed less like a wife and more like the mistress of the space. The special occasion tablecloths, she said, smoothing the last crease. Looks like their moment has come. Pavel looked around. Nothing luxurious, but warm, dignified. Candles flickered softly, and the air filled with thyme and something sweet, faintly smoky. Thank you for agreeing, he said quietly. Still time to change my mind? She asked flirtatiously. It's too late, he laughed nervously. If you leave, I'm done.
Well then, she replied, tonight I'll learn what it's like to starch Arab billionaires. They both laughed, and suddenly the evening stopped feeling unbearable. 40 minutes later, the kitchen held only the aroma of finished dishes. Pavel smoothed his hair. Veronica straightened her back. Guests were about to arrive. The private restaurant hall stood in muted silence when the long-awaited guest arrived. Soft lighting created an atmosphere of calm focus. The tablecloths were perfect, candles trembling, and the air smelled of rosemary, figs, and something warm and homely. Saeed al-Hamdan entered first, like a man accustomed to places where decisions awaited him. His personal assistant followed silently, removed Saeed's coat, and stepped aside. Pavel stood, feeling his chest tighten and his voice vanish. Mr. al-Hamdan, welcome, he said in English, forcing a polite smile. Saeed took his time, surveying the room, the table, the guests, then nodded briefly. His gaze slid to Veronica, sitting calmly with her hands folded in her lap. Is this your wife? Saeed asked evenly. Yes, Pavel replied softly. This is Veronica, my wife. Veronica nodded slightly, a hint of irony in her eyes. They sat. The assistant filled glasses and stepped back. The dishes were served quickly, pumpkin with rosemary, lamb with figs, fresh bread with a soft crust. You sent me your presentation. 12 rooms, correct? Yes, Pavel answered. 8 occupied, nearly a record for February. We usually offer breakfasts only. Dinner service is limited due to finances. We prefer offering nothing rather than disappointing guests. Saeed turned to Veronica. Do you agree? The translator moved, but Veronica spoke herself, in decent, slightly dry English. Better a hungry guest than a disappointed one. Saeed raised an eyebrow. You speak well, unexpected. I like talking, but only when it matters, Veronica smiled lightly, and when it comes to food, I'm unstoppable. The assistant looked away, hiding a smile. Do you manage this restaurant? No, Veronica replied calmly. I'm a housekeeper. Saeed tilted his head. Perhaps not the housekeeper, but the manager? Let's say manager, she agreed lightly, if it helps you take my words seriously. She spoke of observations guests never write in reviews, towels folded too neatly, curtains never opened, slippers tossed freely. Saeed listened, asked questions, smiled. The dinner lasted another hour and a half. In the morning, Pavel read the letter again. The meeting was a success. They wanted Veronica involved. He found her in the laundry room. She folded towels. Veronica, he said softly. She smiled. Already regret marrying me? He handed her the letter. She read it. This isn't a joke? Official, he replied. "He wants you on the team." She sighed. "I just know where it's comfortable." "Exactly," he said. "Without you, this hotel is just painted walls." She looked at him, confused, tender. "As a director or as a man?" He stepped closer. "Let's start with a schedule," she said. He smiled. "Today's your day off. Dinner later?" "Deal," she laughed. And everything was clear. Write in the comments if you liked this story, and subscribe to the channel. A new story is coming soon.